Bungalow Bill here. No new craft for this episode either. And do not think that it is because I am resting on my laurels, for I have no laurels. And neither is it because I am lazy, although I am very lazy. Instead, it is because I have recorded and edited episode 6 a few hours ago. I'll be doing construction and CWIS testing Sunday and Tuesday. So, perhaps a new craft for then, perhaps not. In the last episode, we beat back the Steel Striders further, so they are left with a relatively small amount of territory, and predominantly just a few bases to destroy. In addition, we won a fleet battle against the Gray Talons, and we'll begin to push in against them and hopefully have a few more fights in this episode. In addition, the Onyx Watch was completely eliminated, so it is just these 3 factions remaining for us to battle. Alright, here we have the Hull Breacher against a fairly infamous fortification due to its 2 Liberator cannons. Now, I spawned us very close because I'm using cram cannons, and I also decided to just turn my movement off immediately because I had to quit out of the game and restart because I beached myself twice in one fight and it was taking like 20 minutes. I had killed both of the Liberator cannons really early, but I couldn't get angles against further back buildings. I kept ramming around there because my craft wouldn't stop once it got to a waypoint, it wouldn't reverse. I am pretty sure that those issues are actually fairly well ironed out in this one, and that the issue I was having before was just that I had retrofit over the incorrect save, that the game for some reason found one that I'd accidentally saved in a different folder and retrofit in an older design instead of a newer one. I have no idea why. But now I can see that I actually have the passive radars that I'm supposed to have. I think that I have all of the turret firing restrictions that I'm supposed to have. Oh, that's just the back of this. I have a lot of holidays in my paint jobs. And the deck is painted under here the way that it should be. Although, you know, I always find new holidays. Anyway, let's shoot some Liberator cannons at point blank range. One of the advantages is that if we spawn in this close, we can see both the Liberator cannon and us. I think it's dead. We are moving with our movement off. We are moving quite fast with our movement off. To me, this indicates that I may never have saved the version where I fixed that issue, or that for some reason we spawned with these things spun all the way up. In either case, I'm going to have to get us away from the shore.
You're in control. Moving now.
It looks like that shore angle stopped us from getting a good hit on the Liberator. Although, fortunately, I think we just shot it through the land a little bit. Fortunately, it seems to have decided that it wanted to shoot at the Thundershock, and our casemates completely disemboweled it. We are just going to be going on a bit of a trek here. At least we got a few hits from our frag, though. Yeah, down to 0 firepower. Yep, lasering the mountainside. Well, presumably we will get exploded by a few missiles. The Hull Breacher has a turning circle whose diameter is about 1 kilometer. I set the turning circle in the AI to 500 meters because I have no idea if it's radius or diameter. I'm traditionally used to measuring turning circles in radius. I don't know if that's just a sailing thing, and that maybe it's traditional to measure it differently for ships. I don't know. But when you're sailing, the 2 boat length circle around the mark is 2 boat lengths in radius, not diameter. This is where you pay a little bit for the higher cram velocity. At least we finally got a good hit in. Nice that passive radar is showing us that missile way earlier than we would have found it otherwise. We may not be able to turn towards land like this without destroying ourselves. Thundershock is still airborne, not actually lasering the mountains now. Second AP, HE Cram had a much better trajectory. Oh, it looks like we might actually circle. Or we might just come to a full stop in this direction. The hull breacher actually can turn in place. If its forward speed is set to 0... Oh, actually it can't. The reason for this is that I can't make the turning thrusters do exactly what I want without controlling them, presumably either with ACV or breadboard. Breadboard would be a better solution. But I can't get them to do exactly what I want just through the AI. They're on the most powerful turning thrusters in the bow are on spin blocks, so they can face either way. The hull-mounted ones that don't swivel, that are considerably weaker, do what they should. The other thing is that spin blocks have a setting to have them react in the opposite direction if the craft's moving backwards. I don't want that when I have the steam propellers on them. I want one that responds in the opposite manner when the drive is backwards, which is actually a substantial difference in a craft this massive. Well, the enemy has popped out a surprise arrow tyrant and put it against me, so we have 1 Drunken Duck, 1 fake Darning Needle. I thought it was actually a real Darning Needle. No, it's one of the fakes. And an arrow tyrant, which I don't think these are going to work against the Darning Needle, but, well, maybe they will. I say the Darning Needle, they may very well work against the Thundershock. Let's see if we get lucky with the Drunken Duck, though. That's always the big thing. We got 1 bounce, but it looks like the other one was a real hit. Not as severe as I would have liked. The Drunken Duck isn't nearly as scary as the Taiko. Those small missiles coming in, the Drunken Duck looks like it took some real damage there. Although it didn't crack the heavy armor, I don't think there's anything terribly important in that corner. Looks like we got a really good hit there. Oh, it broke in half. Yeah, we must have hit the ammo compartment. Too bad I missed that. I presumed we had a little bit of time. Yeah, those bombs did work pretty well in the Thundershock. So that got me a bit distracted. Yeah, these are not holding up that well to these missile barrages. Maybe I'll make an interceptor that is a little too fast to hit that way. The Thundershock was fun though. Alright, I think this is a real Darning Needle. Let's see how this goes. We're only outcosted 3-1. I don't know the terrain here very well, so I'm going to actually... yeah, well, I could spawn us a little bit higher. I spawned us almost exactly the same height. I would say I have the memory of a goldfish, but I have watched Mythbusters, and I know in fact that goldfish have better memories than I do. Oh, never mind. I got bamboozled again. What did I say in another episode? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, won't get fooled again. Well, apparently shame on me every time because I have been fooling myself. So our flight ceiling is very close to ground level at these altitudes. I wish helium allowed you to operate a bit higher than it does. The very, very abrupt ceiling on it is pretty unfortunate. I think we may have lost our laser on our upper deck, so I think this fight is over. Yeah, it's very lightly armored. We lost a few blocks in the front, and we have no way to bring our other laser to bear. So let's just end this fight. We were outcosted by even more than I thought we would be, because... Okay, the fight's over. Can I please not have this splatter? Because we're not actually a darning needle. I was expecting to fight that with a darning needle. Well, let's get a little bit of revenge against the Predator. It outcosted us in the previous fight, but we outcost it in this fight. Much better. Although we aren't firing, and it's because it's AI dead. I just had trouble reading the text. Which is obviously because I can't read. We do change our combat height as time goes on to dodge things, and I was really worried we were going to deck there. Well, an Osprey and a shooting star came across my territory, captured one square, and then left. I tried to send out a fairly equivalent fleet to stop them, which was using 2 sailfish, but they were so obscenely slow. They're not even here yet, so I'm going to do this fight before I lose the Osprey entirely. It's deciding to spawn 200 meters above its flight ceiling. Of course, I have to use the Taiko. I only have 2 Taikos nearby. Excellent. Let's see what's happening. In particular, oh, I can't pull the reamer, can I? Well, we'll just have to use it then. I'm not sure if I can't pull it independently because it's a drone. That's actually probably the answer. Ooh, that was a good hit. Reamer took a little bit of damage from that Sea Whiz. I think that was about it, though. Here I have the fleet featured in a previous battle against the Gray Talons in the last episode. It fought the Ascension along with a few other craft. So, we have the Elephant as a centerpiece of the fleet, with 2 sailfish alongside it, and then we have 2 of our interceptors. And the chief enemy that we're fighting up against is the Extinction. We have seen the Extinction before, except we killed it without doing any damage to it because it was drowned by our reamer. We do not have one this time around. Hopefully these Deady Blades aren't functional for lifting it, because we do shoot flak at it, and it is not going to live long with flak being shot at it. I don't think our Sea Whiz is really going to be capable of shutting down this kind of cram damage. Well, I can't see into it to see how much it has. That's actually not that much. It'll still probably get past us. Okay, so this is a functioning particle cannon. I wasn't sure if it's just for looks or not. It looks like there was some usage. Oh no, I'm just inside of it, maybe? It's hard for me to tell. It looks like... Okay, hide original mesh was not used, I think. I think I was just getting inside of it a little bit. We'll really be testing our interceptor's targeting priority to hopefully... Oh, well, that's unfortunate. We need our interceptors. without our interceptors, we're just going to get nuked over and over again. We can do a little bit of damage to those missiles. Oh, it looks like we actually popped at least one, but... some good damage there from our crams. Unfortunately, we're going to be taking a lot of missile damage. The Extinction cost twice as much as the Elephant as well, so I don't expect it to hold up for that long. And unfortunately, the Elephant and the Sailfish are getting too close together, so they might take a little bit of shared damage that way. Still, the Elephant's holding up very well. I really wish that particle cannon did not take a shot at my interceptor first. Ooh, okay. I don't think we got through the heavy armor, but those are still some good hits. And that heavy armor doesn't protect from EMP anymore, so that EMP went all through the Extinction. It's at 264 firepower right now. That's not that scary. It's like half of what the Elephant comes in at fully loaded. So we'll see how these shots do. They don't seem to be making it there. Perhaps bad timing on the fuses. That one got there, though. Oh, whoops, I'm on a Sailfish. I forgot about that. These are some big waves. Looks like we've lost a bit of cram firepower from taking shots midship. Actually, no, we're at full firepower. Hasn't quite gotten to the components yet. I'm going to move off of the Elephant so that I don't die. Despite the fact that the enemy is relatively stable, the fact that we are bobbing with the waves may mess up our targeting because it uses averaging of the enemy's position relative to us, and if we have that set too high and we're bobbing too violently, we may have some bearing issues. Still, I think the Extinction's in some real trouble right now. See if I'm missing anything. Nope. Elephant's still getting chipped away, but that's about it at the moment. Extinction has lost a little bit more firepower, but not that much. It builds those craft pretty quickly, but we still have one interceptor live at least. The darn Neil didn't get hit by a particle cannon right at the beginning. And in truth, actually, I don't think the Sailfish have great anti-aircraft targeting priorities. And it looks like the Extinction is going down. Either total power loss to lift, or I don't know. It is extraordinarily heavy, though. That's a lot of angled heavy armor at the front. I suspect that this does not do well with the EMP changes. It was probably reliant on that heavy armor for EMP protection. It probably doesn't do well with heat damage either, assuming that our heat is actually penetrating. It might not. Still, I think the heavy armor changes are moving a little bit in the right direction. Although, perhaps just removing heavy armor would have been a better change. I think it's possibly, along with how low the gravity is and how powerful thrust is, things that'll never get changed, the existence of heavy armor is really what promotes the super heavy-duty frontsiders. If you needed to put, I don't know, like however much metal would be the equivalent, I don't know, 40 layers of metal on the front of your aircraft, your center of gravity would go way too far forwards. You just couldn't do it. Heavy armor is really what allows these craft to have insane armor values without having their center of gravity way out of whack. Well, there she goes. We have here what I consider to be a fun fight. Although, I was under the impression... Okay, I had turned off these tooltips a while ago. Oh, is it going to make me do this for every single one? Well, anyway, what I consider to be a fun fight, although I was under the impression that Hick wings used to have 3 Hicks in them. Yeah, it's gonna make me turn this off for every single Hick. Anyway, I find this to be a fun fight. The Darting Needle should one-shot the Hicks. It looks like we did not get a good hit on that first one. And if we keep going after the same one, we're going to run into some trouble, because with it going into a death spiral, our ability to detect it will run into some issues. Alright, let's see what we're going to look for next. Really, at some point, we'll just accidentally turn into the right field of view. I wish I could see what our AI is trying to make us do, because it is not making any sense to me at the moment. We should have tried to turn it something by now. I'm not in build mode, so I can't turn that off. There goes another Hick. If you may have realized, because I just took damage, I'm in the Darning Needle's butt. And there's also no way for me to get out, so unless I get blown out of it, I can't actually hop out to avoid the fight. We're also way slower than sleek jet-powered aircraft. So we just kind of have to tank damage until we turn to face them. These fights can be way, way faster and more engaging than this, but we have not had the luck that we need yet, and we missed it completely. We almost crashed, which would have fortunately ended the fight for us. We're far heavier. Fantastic. Definitely a little bit more tweaking to make this thing a bit more reliable. I should probably let it fire from further away. But we got there in the end. Here we have ourselves a fight with one of my light airborne battalions, which is primarily 3 interceptors combined with 2 dandelions. And we find ourselves a bit outmanned by the Peacekeeper. I really hope that this is all mimics over here, or decos or whatever. However, it does not carry a lot of firepower, so I'll be interested to see what it does. Also, if there's anything even remotely interesting on the interior of this. It looks like it might just be a brick. Never mind. We have quite the impressive staircase. I feel like they have more important things to do right now. The Kinesian Emperor was here. So there's an air pump. Okay, this is a bulkhead. I saw standard doors in a lot of other places and was a little bit worried, but okay. Yeah, so there's an air pump. So is this actually a blimp? I think this is actually a blimp. I was not aware that there were any blimps in the campaign. I thought that I was using the only one. Unless there's some magic keeping this afloat. It's a blimp. Unfortunately, no blimp on blimp action. This costs like half of what my blimp does. Excellent, we didn't collide with ourselves already. It also spawns in 2 little dudes. Oh, 4 little dudes. Well, that one is not healthy anymore, and neither is that one. Darting Needle taking incoming fire. Looks like it's weathering okay. I was going to try to surround it, but it looks like that might not have been the best idea. Although we already have turrets popping. Darting Needle is taking flak pretty well, which it generally does. Because flak doesn't do much to the applique panels and alloy that it's covered with. Looks like both dandelions are still firing well. 2 particle cannon hits coming in from the side. The chip damage from the lasers will really add up, but it won't just do large damage to one area, which is what you kind of need to end a fight like this quickly. More heat missiles from the dandelions could pop these remaining guns very quickly. Otherwise, we'll just have to let them shoot at us. It looks like the Peacekeeper's missiles probably don't have signal processors because the somewhat weak flares from the dandelions seem to be distracting them fairly well. Unless they don't shoot in that direction at all, in which case this missile barrage looks like it was taken down by lambs from the Thundershock. So it looks like we took 2% on one craft from flak so far. That's about it. Now the Peacekeeper did have some quite large chambers without bulkheads in them. So it's not surprising that it went down fairly early at about, well, 80% isn't super early for a blimp, but if a blimp this size, it should stay up a bit longer than that. Not that the Taiko stays up much longer, I think it goes down in the 70s. Oh, this one started falling way earlier. Ah, poor guy. He's trying. You can see the little stumps flapping. This is kind of why I have the dandelions use HE for Sea-Wiz, because it still does such respectable damage. This does happen sometimes when they're taking damage, although it should take internal damage for this to happen. Although part of the issue is that its CJEs don't operate underwater, so it needs the wings, and I think if it doesn't have enough speed from the wings, its hydrofoils can't angle it back up. It looks like it's repaired enough, because that's probably the one that I'm in, that it might start heading up soon, but hasn't quite managed it. I'm trying to keep it on camera because I'm interested, but so far we're still just going down. Okay, it's just making me sad. Huh, actually we lost another Darning Needle. It probably took some significant missile damage because the flak isn't really enough to kill it. Those missiles also didn't look that agile, so I feel like there's a good chance that we just kind of wandered into it. Wow, this thing is a lot of metal to get through. You can see some abstract artwork. Is this supposed to be a window? Oh, it is supposed to be stained glass. And all this area that we were in before. I mean, if I am making all of the bulkheads for an airship, I really should decorate them a little bit. Although the ones in the Taiko really aren't sane enough for that sort of thing. The flotation layout for something like the hull breacher, as well as its compartment layout, is probably sane enough to dress it up nicely. Although I did mess it up when I reconfigured the ship a bit. Everything was laid out in a very organized manner, and then I moved everything, and now it's just sort of crammed in wherever I could fit it. So let's see what I'm facing off against here. Although on my side, we have the Taiko, which this one apparently still has its kinetic ramming missile, along with a small fleet of a Darning Needle, Skate, Drunken Duck, and another Darning Needle. On the other side, Rusted Ram's small house, which has turned into a spacecraft, I guess. But the Gauss, and I imagine this does have to be the Gauss, is the main subject of concern here with 806 missile firepower. Which I'm assuming these aren't decos. Well, that's sort of interesting. They are, but they're also not. So these are huge missiles, and the Taiko is going to be unable to stop them. We will simply have to see how we do. Hopefully it takes more than one shot to take us down. Did something blow up already? No, that slowdown was something else. Of course, I imagine we will try to stop them. Hopefully the EMP heat missiles that we have a lot of will do something. Oh, we do also have the reamer. I mean, they're using missiles, we can use missiles. And let's be real here, the reamer is not much more dangerous than these things. Okay, maybe it is. That did very little compared to what I thought it would. Although that one hit an APS barrel. I'm going to pause so I can see what's happening to the Gauss right now. Which is somewhere. Oh, we drowned it. Well, this is why I don't respawn the reamers. They have been doing this. Which is not necessarily great in terms of sort of the interest of the game. It looks like that one sort of had enough at that point. And that's all for the Gauss, I suppose. We do still have more expensive airships coming in from the Scarlet Dawn, and I'm not respawning the reamers, so I think that's actually the last one. If I have another one, I might scrap it. I did save before the fight, so I can always scrap it before the fight and try again. Yeah, actually, I'm going to do that. Let's have both fights. One of the things here is that we do have a lot of interceptors, and they're just going to try to blow up these little houses. So I should probably put an all attack on the Gauss when I start. Yeah, I'll actually do that. The other thing is this is a trade fleet. I'm just leaving it out for volume and performance concerns. Alright, let's let the enemy fight this time. Well, that small house is a consistent spacecraft, at least.
Engaging now.
All target. Interesting. When it's paused, the all target off of the Q menu works and plays the voice command, but off of the tactical overlay from E, it does not. Well, it still works, but it doesn't play the voice command. I'm not really worried about its APS fire. I'm worried about its missiles. They're going to do a lot of damage to me. However, it is also going to take significantly more incoming fire this time because I did an all target on it, so we're not going to take out anything with our interceptors except for the Gauss. And a lot of the Scarlet Dawn craft do not like EMP. Okay, the Taiko's taken some damage. It looks like one of the darning needles has not listened to me. I don't know if it's bobbing or if this is it for the Gauss. Perhaps it just doesn't like to fly. Maybe I didn't drown it. No, that's not it. Oh, the Taiko took a ton of damage. That's really unfortunate. It also dodged an entire Taiko broadside by bouncing like that. Ooh, that was pretty bad. Okay, we've still got decent firepower, and we're still flying. We've taken a lot of damage. Hopefully we'll be switching broadsides now. We're supposed to switch broadsides regularly. Give us some fresh armor. That wasn't necessarily the best place for us to hit the Gauss, but at least it was a square hit. Looks like we haven't really taken fire to anything else, so we've still got a lot of firepower coming in. The Drunken Duck itself is one additional Taiko turret. The darning needles aren't going to do anything, though. They just don't have the firepower. Okay, the Gauss is just sitting there now. It has the APS, but I think these huge missiles are way too vulnerable from flanks. I suspect that the Hesh has really torn it up. Ooh, one of those missed, but I think the other one detonated inside. Yeah, having the Drunken Duck just get free shots into the side the entire time has been pretty brutal for it. None of the Scarlet Dawn craft really enjoy being flanked, but I think it's particularly harsh for this one with the EMP and the heat coming in. The Skate doesn't pack a huge amount of firepower, but it does do a pretty good job of disabling. I think it's about 55 missile firepower. Largely EMP heat. Okay, this time I don't think it's bobbing. This time I think it's just going down. 70%, so that's actually respectable. I wonder where... Okay, so this is actually a huge hole. So this has to be a really big missile. Unless it got at the base some other way. I should give the turret bases a splotch of heavy armor so that you can't just undercut the turret, which is what might have happened. Which is something that I actually do, but apparently didn't do here. It's something I do in other craft, though. So does the Taiko... Okay, the Taiko still has all of its AIs. That's good. And it's working remarkably well for something that has such a massive hole in it. It doesn't always, but it is here. I will let this finish despawning because the lag is hurting my eyes. I say the lag, it's the frame rate stuttering. I'm really sensitive to it. But to some extent it's actually worse for me than you because I'm playing on 144 Hertz monitor, but I'm only recording at 60 Hertz. So it's really jarring for me when I start dropping frames. And sometimes I'll start dropping frames and you can't even see it in the replay, although here I'm sure you could, because it was the actual physics step slowing down. When I drop frames, it's usually more because I turned up the graphics settings too high. Alright, now I've just got to finish off all these little hot spurs, or whatever they're called. Yep, they're called hot spurs. That sounds like a medical condition. Oh man, the Taiko's burning so much money to shoot base bleeder rounds at these tiny little things. That one hit though. Not only did that one hit, I think it AI deaded it. Well, I believe that is enough from the depths for one day. Especially because this is the second episode I filmed today, and the second time I've said that. I hope you've all enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the future.